what goes up.
Oi, Marie! Oi, Marie!
Deep in the heart of Texas.
The shadow knows.
Oh, my red wine. I bet it's Manischewitz.
No, lady. I buy strictly American.
Time now for spinning my dad's vinyl. Here with all his skips, scratches, and pops is my dad, Frank Vaccarello.
Thanks, sweetie, and thank you for tuning in to episode 174 of Spinning My Dad's Vinyl. One of the box sets that goes almost ignored is on the bottom row of my dad's collection, along with the other box sets. It has a somewhat misleading title, but it includes some of the most classic standards in music. Once again, we have no record of the musicians, the arrangers, the conductor or conductors, just that the box set is part of a much larger series put out by a company who produced radio shows and hocked watches. The title definitely doesn't prepare you for the instrumentation used to perform this classic music, but it definitely grows on you. So, get ready to hear tunes originating from the roots of American music in Volume 174, Birth of the Blues Record 2. Music from the Longines Symphonette with St. Louis Blues, a popular American song composed by W.C. Handy in the blues style and published in September 1914. It was one of the first blues songs to succeed as a pop song and remains a fundamental part of jazz musicians' repertoire. Okay, why this record for this episode? Because I find this collection intriguing. It's not exactly the instrumentation you would expect for playing the blues, as immediately proven by the first tune of the episode, but that's why I chose that song to go first, so you can hear this recording's unique instrumentation for playing blues. If you want to hear another great example of a lush orchestra playing what is music usually reserved for small ensembles, check out another episode of this show, Volume 72, Blues and the Beat, featuring Henry Mancini. Now, not all of the tunes I chose for this episode use a string section, but many of the tunes on this record do. At first, I wasn't sure how to take this collection. I thought it almost sacrilege to add the lush instrumentation and take out much of the soloing I'm used to hearing during most of those songs, but I think the Longines Symphonette did the same thing Mancini did. They laid the music itself bare and let the written melody speak for itself once arranged with that rich instrumentation. So I hope you'll take this chance to listen more closely to these familiar tunes and their melodies. Muskrat Ramble is a jazz composition written by Kid Ory in 1926. It was first recorded on February 26, 1926 by Louis Armstrong and his Hot Five, and became the group's most frequently recorded piece. Okay, let me tell you about my dad's vinyl I have chosen for this episode. The Longines Symphonette, Birth of the Blues, Volume 11. It's on the Longines Symphonette Society label, number C7111. It's our Century in Music series, a 3-vinyl LP box set. It was released in Canada in 1974, and its genre is Blues. Now, the full name of the series is The Longines Symphonette proudly presents Our Century in Music, a library of memorable hits from 1900 to the present, and they have many other boxes in this series from a lot of different genres of music in the 20th century. Now, we are listening to record 2, which is side C and D. This set does not incorporate the automatic spindle changing format that I've talked about before, and we will hear 6 of the 10 songs on this record. Now, there are no liner notes at all, just the names of the songs printed inside the box cover. For a 3-record box set, you would think they would have something, especially since it's part of a larger collection, but that was the way with most of the Longines releases. So, let's see what prices this record is being sold at on Discogs.com, and it's only been sold twice on that site. $14.89 for a high and $6.20 low for a $10.55 average and median. It was last sold for that low of $6.20 on April 13th, 2024, the day before I wrote and recorded this episode. I found one on eBay for about $16 and one on Amazon for $12.99. Now, my dad's record is in pretty good condition. There's not much hiss or many pops throughout the recording. The spaces between the tunes seem to be pretty clean, and there's not many marks at all on the record, partly because each record is still in the plastic-lined paper sleeves, and partly because it looks like he didn't play this one a lot, even though he owns a ton of records released by the Longines Symphonette. The box is in good condition. There is a bit of a crease in the paper the artwork is printed on. The back is just the black of the box, still actually pretty vibrant black. There are no markings or my dad's address label present anywhere. I think this is one of those records that were buried deep in the collection in a hidden box somewhere. But I will value my dad's vinyl box collection at $7. Okay, more of the ragtime. Jazz Me Blues is a composition by Tom Delaney, considered to be a jazz standard. This instrumental version was first recorded by the original Dixieland Jazz Band on May 3rd, 1921. Since we have no idea who the musicians or orchestra leaders are in these recordings specifically, let's learn a little about the company that put this collection out. The Longines Symphonette was a pre-recorded classical music program broadcast nightly on many Mutual Broadcast System stations from 1943 to 1949. It then moved to CBS, where it was heard Sundays at 2 p.m. from 1949 to 1957. The series was sponsored by the Longines Wittenauer Watch Company. The Longines Symphonette Society was a record label that specialized in releasing classic radio programs and multiple record box sets. The Longines Watch Company sold its record business to Warner Brothers Music. Reissues of the Longines recordings since the 1990s have been credited to the Symphonette Society and no longer have any reference to the Watch Company. Next up is an early chart topper. Wabash Blues was the first major success for pianist, saxophonist, and song composer Isham Jones. Recorded in 1921 by Jones and his orchestra, it was arranged by Joseph E. Matty. This million seller stayed 12 weeks in the U.S. charts, 6 at number 1. The author of the original melody is unknown. Time now for this episode's interesting side note, and it has to do with the difference between blues and the blues. More specifically, the blues-based form versus the blues style. Blues songs are based on a 12-bar structure that usually follows a similar pattern. 4 measures of a certain chord progression, followed by those 4 measures repeating, then another 4 measures called the bridge, with another set of chords that relieves any harmonic tension and comes back to the beginning of the structure. This structure is important when improvising and why most jazz music is based on this form. There's a solid foundation that musicians can build on. This predictability gives them a roadmap to follow while still leaving plenty of room to experiment and explore different musical ideas. Plus, the regularity of the 12-bar form means that musicians can anticipate what's coming next, making it easier to try out new riffs, licks, or vocal melodies without worrying about getting lost in the music. It's like having a familiar path to wander down while still being able to take detours and discover new musical landscapes along the way. And let's not forget about the blues' deep roots in improvisation. From the early Delta blues players to modern day legends, improvisation has always been at the heart of the blues tradition. So when you combine that rich history with the flexible structure of the 12-bar blues, you've got a recipe for some seriously inspired improvisation. Now, that's the blues-based format, something I learned about in depth from a great upper division college elective at Kent State University, the history of jazz. It was one of the most enjoyable classes I ever took. Now, when most people hear the term blues when it comes to music, they automatically think of the blues, usually a tune with lyrics based on the depression or issues of the singer. When we say blues style, we're talking about the whole mood and feel of the music. It's that raw, soulful sound filled with longing, heartache, and sometimes a bit of grit. Think about those lyrics lamenting lost love, hard times, or just feeling plain old blue. So while blues-based form sets the stage for jazz, rock, and other forms of music, the blues style captures that deep, soul-stirring emotion that makes the blues so darn powerful. Now, I've always been partial to blues-based rock, even before I really started getting into older jazz that was more improvisational-based. I listen to a ton of live Led Zeppelin, which is when they are at their best. Next up, I'm not sure this song can be included in a collection about the birth of the blues, but it has become a standard since its debut. Blues in the Night is a popular blues song which has become a pop standard and is generally considered to be part of the Great American Songbook. The music was written by Harold Arlen and the lyrics by Johnny Mercer for a 1941 film of the same name. In 1942, Blues in the Night was one of 9 songs nominated for the Academy Award for Best Original Song. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. There are some great examples of some of the most popular jazz, ragtime, Dixieland, and blues tunes in this box set, but performed and recorded by a pretty anonymous orchestra. A lush string section is not something you would normally expect for a series titled Birth of the Blues, but the orchestra captures the essence of the music itself very well. There were actually a couple of songs on this record I didn't think belonged at all. For example, I didn't play Song Song Blue because it isn't exactly an example of an early blues tune. It was written and first recorded in 1972 by Neil Diamond. This was one of those collections I do not remember from living at home. It was either blocked by other albums in a stack or in a box he didn't even have out. There is still, by the way, 1 disc left in this box. Okay, it's not quite plenty just yet. That's Aplenty is a 1914 ragtime piano composition by Lou Pollock. And there you have selections from the second record in a 3-disc box set that was meant to represent early blues, but played mostly by a lush orchestra. So thanks for tuning into Volume 174, Birth of the Blues Record 2, however you did. If you want more information about this show, head over to spinningmydadsvinyl.com. I'll be back next week with all my skips, scratches, and pops for Volume 175, JJ is Blue. Until then, go with the flow, my friends.